session, which I'm excited for, and I can't wait to claim mine. But yeah, we will be distributing it maybe by the end of the call. So just to let everyone know. And we'll be using the POAP mini app to claim these POAPs. So we will walk you through the claiming process later on in the call. Just to mention that.
Thank you. I think I've got two POAPs now, just from the DevRel office hours, as I always like. Very nice to have.
Absolutely. I love that. We love POAP.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for today. The topic we have today is one of the things that I really like working with here at Collab.Land. So happy to talk to everyone about it.
That sounds awesome. And I just got notified that we are live on YouTube and Twitter. So I think that we're good to get started. What do you think, Kenny?
Let's do it.
Sounds good. Also, for everyone in the audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. I'll check real quick. Okay. We have it enabled now, so please feel free to raise your hand with any questions, or you can also write them in the state chat or in the Dev General channel. I'll link it real quick. In case that you don't have access to the Dev General and you would like to, you can go to Get Roles and self-select the Builder role. That will give you access to Dev General. And yeah, please feel free to make any comments or ask any questions, and we'll be reading them and bringing them up for Kenny to answer.
Awesome. Okay. 1 second. Let me share my screen as usual. Chibi, let me know when you can see it.
All right. We can see it.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Kenny. I'm the director of DevRel here at Collab.Land, and today I want to talk about website token gating. And it's one of the exciting things that, like I mentioned before, that I work on, or one of the features that I think we don't talk enough about here at Collab.Land. But I think today provides us a good opportunity to just kind of like talk to all of you and show you the capabilities of what this can do and what we've been doing. To start, I'd like to do a little bit of a throwback, or more like kind of like just a history on our journey, right? Collab.Land started off being this solution for tokenized communities to help gate and manage and grant access to exclusive communities, right? It was a way that allowed people to create exclusive communities for themselves or for their projects or for their products or for their companies in such a way that you would require entrance into your community to have certain assets. If they do have that access, that asset, they get access. Otherwise, they don't, right? And I think Collab.Land probably is the pioneer of this solution, right? We are the first people to kind of like make this a thing in our ecosystem. And since then, we've seen it kind of like get a lot of traction. A lot of people started token gating their communities. This was very prominent in NFT communities, gaming communities, and even DAOs. So over time, since we started off, Collab.Land is now at a point where we've got about 47,000 communities doing token gating on top of Collab.Land, right? And this success is what kind of like made us start to think in a different direction. What if we could kind of like elevate this particular feature or functionality and bring it outside the context of just Telegram and Discord or Reddit that we are currently now available on Reddit as well. So what if we can find a way to extend this functionality and bring it to the browser so that people could also build token-gated websites, right? And that is what I want to talk about today. So it basically allows us to restrict or to grant access to elements or pages on your website based on the ownership of certain assets on the blockchain. So moving forward, okay, so I will leave this here because I would like you to see how very well prepared I am today for this demonstration. That is why you see Lorem Ipsum on my slide deck. Anyhow, previously we would often get access to websites by setting up password authentication, right? That is what I did, at least in the past. If I wanted to build a website that I needed to be exclusive, then I would use maybe the hosting provider to provide some kind of password protection. And then I would share the password with other people and they would then get access to that site. Or there's also URL gating, which is kind of like closer to what we have now. It's closer to token gating, right? But this time you're getting the URL, and when someone gets access, they could pretty much share that out to anyone. And that brings me to what I'm talking about today, and that is token gating, right? On the website or web page and web element level of access. So how it works is you first define some token gating rules for your website, right? And by this, I mean, basically you, as the developer or as the admin of that website, setting up what kind of tokens or what kind of assets do people need to possess for them to be able to get access into that site or into that website. Then when a user visits that website, you could collect that user's wallet address. It could be via any wallet connection service provider you like. You could use, sign in with Ethereum. You could use Connect Wallet. You could even use login with Collab.Land to kind of like let that user authenticate themselves using Collab.Land. Either way, whatever you decide to do, when they visit your website, you collect that wallet address and maybe save it in local storage or wherever you want to do that. And next, you call the Collab.Land endpoint to check if the user with that wallet has the required assets that you need them to have for them to be able to get access to your website or to your web page. And if they do have that access, then they see the gated content. Otherwise, they don't see the gated content. We deny them access. And that is typically how it works. And then I wanted to show you a structure of a TGR or like what it looks like so that you kind of like have a mental picture of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, configuring token gating rules. This is the bare minimum, the one that you currently see on screen is the bare minimum token gating rule that you could, possibly have. It basically asks for the chain ID, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. We have a document that could show you, all the chains that we currently support and all their IDs. When you specify the chain ID, you specify the contract address of the token, what type of token it is, and then the role that you would like to identify that token with. And this is, I think we have probably more than I can count, but we're currently supporting a lot of chains and a lot of tokens on those chains. And I think if Abhishek, if you're on the call, maybe you can share a link in the chat to these documents so that people who are currently with us could visit and see that for themselves. This is just a picture, a screenshot that I put on screen because I wanted to show this to kind of like give a visual representation of all the tokens and all the chains that we currently support. But this is currently, the document itself is available on the Collab.Land support channel. So let's talk a little bit about the token schemas. So we support a lot of tokens. Like I said, we support a lot of chains, but the configuration for each of these schemas will be a little different depending on the type of token it is. Right on screen, I've got ERC 721 tokens and a fungible token schema like ERC 20. Right. So if you look at the structure of the object, you see that they are a little different. One has something that the other doesn't have. And it will continue to be like that. As you go down the line, we've got fungible tokens, we've got staked tokens, we've got Gnosis Save, all sorts of different tokens that you could get your website with. Once again, I'd like to mention that all of this information are just screenshots that I took from the documentation. And if you'd like to see more or kind of like read about this in depth, please do check the documentation. You would see all of that there. All right, so what do you need to build this out? Let's say that I have been able to convince you that this is a project that is worth your attention and your time, and you want to go ahead and build a token-gated website. What do you need? First, you would need to get a Collab.Land API key because you would need to use that API key to make the API call to Collab.Land when you want to check the roles that are currently, to check if the provided wallet has the assets that you're looking for, or that you've kind of like configured for the users to have. And this is the link, the URL to the documentation where you could request for an API key if you want to do that. Then the second thing you would need is the TGRs, like I just talked about. You need to configure the token gating rules, which is basically just a way of you saying, okay, this is the things that I require for everybody to have before they see this website that I'm building, right? Specify the chain ID, the type of the token, the contract address. There are some other, a lot more other properties that are optional if you want to do that. So that's the second thing that you need to put in place for you to be able to correctly token gate a website using Collab.Land. And then there's a third thing, and that is the wallet address that you need to collect from the user, because you want to check that wallet address and kind of like find all the on-chain assets that they do have on that address. So when you've got all three, you basically have all you need to build a token-gated website on Collab.Land. Now, for the implementation details, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for anyone to work with this. So we went ahead and built an SDK that has all the functionalities that you will need. All you need to do is just npm install it, and then you can use it to grab the token, to specify your token gating rules, and then people would be able to use your website and correctly check their wallet for the assets that you're requiring. But we are not limiting it to SDKs as well. You could also like make a direct API call, as I will later show you, to Collab.Land check rows endpoint, and we would return kind of like a response letting you know if the wallet address you provided has access to the assets that you're looking for or that you've set up. So there are two ways for you to do this. You can do via the SDK, or you can just make a direct fetch API call. And this is the end of the slides that I wanted to show you. So what I will do now is kind of like show you how this works in practice. All right, so I've got Postman set up here, just to show you that this is the endpoint that I've been talking about through all the slides. So how you do this is you basically pass two things to Collab.Land, right? The first thing being the wallet address of the user who is seeking access into your website or into your token gated content, whatever the content is. And the second thing is the rule. And this is what I've been calling the TGR, or the token gated rule, all through the presentation as well. So basically here I'm saying, an English interpretation of what's going on here is I'm saying for this user who has this wallet address, check if they have a token with this contract address available on this chain. This is the type of the token and a minimum of at least one of these tokens. And this is just like a rule ID that I'm assigning to this rule to kind of like to serve as a unique identifier for this particular rule. Now, if I make that API call to Collab.Land, I would then get a response saying that this rule is granted for this user. And what that basically means is that checking this wallet address on the blockchain, we can find this token existing on this wallet. And that's it. Again, you can specify more than one token. Actually, let me try and see if I can do that. If you wanted to So generally we do the or condition, the or condition. So if you specify more than one rule, we just check if this exists or the other one exists. If either of them is true, then they get access. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So in this case, I will, let me make this API call again so that I will show you what I'm saying. So you see that the ID for Land Collab, which is the first one, is true because the asset does exist on my wallet, and the second one, Collab.Land, is also true because I have that asset available on my wallet as well. So what I want to do is let me show you how this works. Or how I have used this to make it work. And I think I will do that here. Let me stop presenting. All right, so this is my implementation of a kind of like a POC use case for this. Is I have maybe like a very popular artist, or I'm a celebrity somewhere, and I've got a lot of fans and a lot of friends and a lot of colleagues, and I have all sorts of different content for all these different category of people. And when they come to my website, I'd like them to, you know what, collect your wallet first. I've already done that, and the wallet address is cached, so I just immediately get access to this page. Otherwise, it will prompt you to connect your wallet, and you would have to use MetaMask or whichever wallet you want to use and do that. And now I have 4 different parts, and these 4 different parts are all like token gated parts. If I try to go to the mentees part and I don't have the right assets that is required on that part, then I will be denied. But if I do have the right assets, I would get entrance. So let's try mentees. It's loading, and I do have access to this. Let's see, friends. I do have access. So to show you that what this looks like is, I think I've got my VS Code here. So I have these rules set up. Ideally for each of the access category, I've got these for friends, I've got this for fans, I've got for colleagues, and all sorts of. So this is the rules that are being checked when I try to access any of those routes. And to show you what how that works is if I okay, actually, let me do this while we're here. Let me try and go to OpenSea and see if I can find just any NFT at all that I can try to use. I am sure that I probably don't have that on my wallet address. So if I try to token gate with this NFT, let me try to do that. Actually, I'm going to do that directly on the friends. No, let me do fans. So I'll put the contract address. Yeah.
Real quick, we weren't able to see the rules. Maybe you can try sharing your whole screen if you're using different
Oh my God.
apps.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then start again.
Okay. Yeah. Also, Abhishek was mentioning that we can see your postman.
Oh my God. Okay, that's why I was sharing only. Okay, let me
It's okay.
start all of that up. Oh yeah, thank you, Abhishek, for letting me know. Yeah, I feel bad now that I've gone so far. I'll try and go back and touch on them a little bit more. Okay, let me see if sharing my whole screen works now. Screen 1. Let me know if you see Postman.
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, I feel so bad. All right. So I was here. I was showing the functionality that I was talking about here, which is the way that I've configured the token gating rules to work on that website. And what I was saying is I do have all of those. Where is it? I do have all of these NFTs that I've used to gate all these different routes. And that's why, like, regardless of which one I click, it checks and I get access, right? But what I want to do now is I want to change the one for the fans to use an NFT that I don't have on my wallet, right? And that's where we are at, trying to get one from OpenSea. I definitely do not have this one, and I've copied the contract address. So I want to just try and put this in my code, chain ID. This is Ethereum mainnet, so this is going to be 1. The type of the token is ERC721, and the role ID is funds. Okay, so if I try this again, ideally it should not be able to work because now I no longer have the right requirements to the funds category. And sure enough, access is denied. And this is basically how it works, right? If you have the right access, you would get the right resources. And this is a website that is currently running on localhost, but it could be, it could be a form, it could be any other website anywhere else. And just to reconfirm what I was saying before, that when I wasn't showing when my postman wasn't showing, is I was trying to show you the conditions on how you can pass in more than one token getting rule to the Collab.Land endpoint. Is if I make this API call, I should get that the rule is granted for me because this asset, this particular one, exists on my wallet address. So basically, Collab.Land just gets this request body from you, checks this wallet address for this token, and if it does exist on the wallet, then the rule is granted for you. Otherwise, you get access denied, right? And I was saying, if you wanted to gate in a way that you want to check multiple conditions. Like if you want to say, oh, if you have NFT A or you have NFT B or C or D, then you get access, right? So that's what I was talking about before. In that case, all you have to do is, specify all the different conditions, all the different NFTs that they could have to get access. So if they have any of them, they get access. And that's what I was talking about before. So this is let me make this call again and show you the response. So this is an all condition. So even if I don't have this NFT, okay, let me do, I'm going to actually do that. Where is this one? This is the one that I don't have, that I just got from OpenSea. So let me use it here, and let's see what happens. I think it's on the mainnet, and yeah, this should be it. So let's make that call, and it is false, right? Because I don't have it, right? I just grabbed that from OpenSea. I don't know who owns it. But if I do not, let's say that I have, what's the name, Collab.Land. If the role ID is the same, which it would be if you're trying to gate for one particular role. If I'm trying to gate for one particular role, actually, let me call it funds because I want to maintain the consistency of the information there. So funds, if I make this API call, this is going to be granted, right? Even though I don't have the second one. And that's the point I was trying to drive home, is this is an all condition. So if you specify more than one token getting rule or one NFT or one asset, it's just going to check all the assets that you've specified. And if it finds one of them being available on your wallet, then the rule is granted for that person, right? And that's how that works typically. And that's what I was trying to talk about. And then this is the use case that I was able to come up with as a way to kind of like bring some visual explanations to how I'm thinking about this or how we're using this today. I wanted to also mention that this company, I think it's called successfinder.com, currently integrated with Collab.Land, and they are currently using the website token getting rule in production as of last week. And that is something that I wanted to call out as well, so that if anyone here or anyone who's listening via the live stream wants to give this a shot, I want you to have the confidence that companies are already using this in production. And if you wanted to do that, we could just help set you up. Like TB mentioned, send a message in the Dev General channel, or talk to any of the Collab.Land people here, and we will get you set up. Okay, let me get back to the documentation and show you what I wanted to talk about. All right, so a path for you to get started here would be to go to the documentation, to the Collab.Land documentation, and go to the tutorial section and click on Token Getting Tutorial. And this would be basically all the documents that you need to do this. This is similar to the flow that I described before. If you wanted to build this today, you would define your token getting rules. When a user visits your site, you collect your wallet address, and then you call the Collab.Land API to check if they have the required tokens. And if they do, then they get access to the gated content. So I think it's straightforward enough implementation-wise for anyone who's trying to do this or who wants to do this. The Dev General channel is where we'll just be to provide any kind of technical support that you need. We also have a video on YouTube about this particular feature. So if you want to do that, please watch that video as well. It kind of like just goes through the whole development process of that POC that I showed you, or maybe a different POC, I can't recall. But yeah, the video exists for the same purposes, just to be kind of like a guide for whoever is trying to do this. We have a repository that I want to call out because I haven't been sharing it out wide enough. Just give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find that for you. Yes, this one. All right, Chibi, I'm going to put this in the chat. Maybe you can surface it for everyone else.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is the link to one of the POCs that we've built using the website token getting feature. So if this is interesting to you or you'd like to check this out, please use that as a way to get started. And now, one of the things that I also mentioned that I want to talk about, and this is the one that I'm kind of like, I've seen people get stuck on or have questions about, is how do we get the key? I kind of like put this together in a way that when I'm done with the demo, I will be able to kind of like go through the documentation to show you how to get all of this information, so you don't have any kind of dependence on if we answered you or not. So this is the first part. This is usually where I would direct anyone who wants to do this. Show up here, read all of this documentation, get the idea, watch the video, get an idea of how to build this, and then request for an API key. And this is ideally where you would get that key from, is from the Collab.Land API key section. You would see the request API access here, and this would take you to this form that you then fill, and then we would get that and we will send you your key. The question that we've been getting about the API key is, a couple of days ago, somebody reached out and they said, you know what, I just want to iterate. I just want to build. I don't have all the information about what I want to build yet, right? I don't know if my idea is going to work. So I just need to get an API key to, test the waters, or at least try to validate my idea before I would know if I have all the details that you're asking for. We're asking for your project, the description of the project, and all this different information. And it was the second time that I was getting that request. So it was also part of the things I wanted to talk about here today. Is we are in the process of rolling out a new environment that is going to be specific to developers. We have kind of like just a staging environment, where you can test things and use APIs. Ideally, the experience we're shooting for is every developer should be able to generate an API key for themselves, and you can use that API key to, iterate on your ideas, test what you're trying to accomplish, build out whatever you want to build. And when you're happy with your project or you want to go to production, then you can generate like a production key. That's the experience we want to get to, and it's currently in progress. But right now, we do still need to get all of this information from you, because the key that we are going to issue you when you make this request is going to be a Collab.Land QA environment key, and those keys do have access to live data, and we have like data policy that we want to protect. We don't want to mistakenly or carelessly give out keys that could possibly get access to people's data, and we're not like confidently accounting for that. So this is why the questions are currently in place. We have to be sure who you are, what you're trying to do, what kind of project you're trying to build. If we're not confident in the responses, we will let you know. Otherwise, we will issue the keys. I know this is not currently ideal for someone who's just trying to test or who's just trying to, practice what they want to do. But this is a safety precaution that we've put in place specifically to make sure that we are protecting our users and also, staying in line with our privacy policies. So when I'll be moving on now. I just wanted to call this out because I feel like it's a bottleneck for developers, and I want to let you know that we are well aware of this and we are working to make sure that it's rectified. Then moving on, when you've got the Collab.Land API keys, and what happens is when I added a kind of like another field at the end, just basically saying if you wanted an expedited response, just let us know in the Collab.Land Discord server. And this is something that I've been seeing people use quite a lot, and it's been very helpful because we do have a backlog of API requests. So if you want to start building today and you'd like to kind of like get in front of the queue, send us a message in the DevRel channel. That would kind of like bring your API request in front of us immediately, and then we would attend to you faster. When you've got your API keys, then you could go ahead and either use the REST API that we built, or you can use the SDK. Whichever way that you want to proceed will all be successful. We've tested, and we've got people who are currently using this in production. So let me do a quick scan. I think it's the website that can get in is pretty straightforward. I think I probably talked about it more than I should have. Like I mentioned, I'm really excited about this. I've built a couple of different demos with it just to make sure that it's working as I expect. I've gotten a company who's using it in production as of last week. So pardon me if I talk a little bit too much about it, but I'd be happy to take any questions now if there's anything that is confusing about all the things I've said so far.
I think it's awesome to hear you talk about this. So please don't apologize for that, because we're all here to listen to you, and you do a great job at explaining all of this. So thankful for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I can probably just talk about it all day if you'll let me, but I want to be sure that I've been like respectful of everyone's time, because this is something that I've been working with for a while, and yeah, I think a lot more people need to know about it. At Collab.Land, we're not shouting out about it as much as we can. Also, why I wanted it to be the topic of this week's DevRel Office Hours, because I'm looking for opportunities to show developers, what they can do with this, right? The way I think about it is kind of like creating the same functionalities we have when you try to gate a community on Discord, right? You ask developers, you ask your users to kind of like authenticate themselves with their wallet, and then you check their on-chain assets, and if they have it, they have access. I think, or more like the way that I like to think about it is we're really doing the same exact thing, but this time just extending that functionality to the browser, and this is why people can do this on the browser now on websites. Is once someone has connected your wallet, and honestly, as the way I think probably the best part of it is the fact that you only really need to make one API call to get this thing out working immediately. Something that I think is also worthy of note while we're here is let me go to the doc section and show you how to configure TGRs. Is these are some of the ones that I said I would talk about if I have the time. We have the different token getting schemas, and for people who are currently working with website token getting on Collab.Land, this is usually the things that we help them with a lot. Is and I do understand. Okay, maybe eventually we'll talk about how we kind of like adopt the AI age into the website token getting. That's something that we want to do eventually down the line. But right now, there's a little bit of differences in the schemas for these different types of tokens, right? We've got an ERC20 token here. You'd see that we have a max token of 100. We've got a contract address, a role ID. Now we've got an ERC1155 token. It has a different kind of token ID. It has a different kind of, it has a name. It has a main token. It's close enough to be together, to be the same thing, but it's just not quite there yet. And what we are trying to do to solve this is to find a way to create one single schema that would solve for any type of token, right? Gnosis Safe is quite different from the other ones. It has this assets declaration where you have to specify the Gnosis assets, and then the classifier group, some scheme. Some of these properties don't exist on the staked token schema. It doesn't exist on the ERC1155 token schema. And if we keep diving down the rabbit hole, we also support schemas for non-EVM based chains, which is also like a tiny bit different from what we've seen before. So these are all differences that I think is worth calling out for when you start building website token gated websites. You could want to gate with ERC 721 tokens, or you might actually do want to gate with Gnosis Safe or POAP, for instance. What I'm just trying to bring to your attention here is it's going to be a little bit different, right? Because what we've seen is, for instance, someone who's building a website, right, could come to the website, could come to the documentation and copy this rule, and then he would paste it and edit out the contract address and maybe the chain ID, and then he would repaste the rule for I don't know, for a staked token schema where he wants to gate with staked token, and that would not work because it's evidently different in a little bit of in some way. So that's what we've been doing, right? So if you're building this today or tomorrow, or whenever you decide to try this out, if you have a token that you'd like to use that we haven't documented, that's also where you let us know in the dev channel, and we'll put that up on the docs for you. What we're doing in that regard is there's like an endless amount of tokens that could possibly be used. So we can't possibly document all of them or what all the schemas would look like, but we can do that for you based on requests. If you ask for that, we would do that. But hopefully we don't get to the point where we have to document 500 different token schemas. We will eventually leverage the AI stage, where I think the whole world is headed in that direction now, to find a way to kind of like consolidate all of these different token schemas and find one way that we can make it easy for everyone. Kind of just unify all of the TGRs, all of the token schemas, so that all you would need to do is maybe edit the chain ID and the contract address, and it would just work, right? That's where we're headed. And eventually, I think we'll get there, actually even sooner than later. But that's that about the token schemas. If there's, let me do a quick check to see if I've got any things. Okay, I think we're good. All right, that's it, Chibi. I don't know if you would like me to talk a little bit more about, if I'm allowed to, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the TGR properties. If I haven't taken too much time, can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay. All right, thank you, and thank you all in the chat for just being patient. I promise I won't take any more time after this one. So I want to just kind of like go over the token TGR properties, because I have also seen people mistake that, and that's also why we created this particular section of the documentation for it. The chain ID is the ID assigned to each chain, and I think in the let me find the slides. Here, when you go to this, I don't know if Abhishek has shared this in the chat, but when you go to this particular documentation, you would see all the chains we have, all the chain IDs on all the supported tokens. So say, for instance, that the NFT you're trying to get your site with is on the Ethereum mainnet. You would see the documentation asking you to specify the chain ID for every token schema, literally for all of them. Like, we want to know on what chain that token exists on. And this is the document that helps you kind of like find that out in one place. We spot in mainnet, Goalie, BSC, Gnosis, Polygon, basically a lot of them. So this is where we have documented all the chain IDs, so that regardless of which one you want to use, you would have like a direct line of access to knowing exactly what the chain ID is. So that is where one source of truth for finding that information. And then the next one is what type of token it is. For EVM-based chains, we can have your C20, 721, 1155. I mean, you would find all that information on the asset details anyway. So if you go to okay, let's say OpenSea, for instance, and you want to gate your site with this NFT, this would be the contract address. You can get this from the browser tab right here, or you can click on it directly from here. This is the contract address. If you click on that, it will take you to Etherscan, and you can copy the contract address from here, however way you want. Then the next thing you will see is the chain. You see that the chain here is Ethereum, and then if I was doing this, I would then go back to Collab.Land supported chains and look for Ethereum, and then you would find the Ethereum mainnet, and then you find the chain ID. In this case, it is 1, and you copy that. And then the type of the token, okay, let's use OpenSea again. You would see that the type of the token here is ERC721. On Ethereum, it's noted down as token standard. That's also something that has been confusing, that people have reached out to ask as well. So just whenever you see the type on the TGRs, it's basically what OpenSea calls token standard. So in this case, it's ERC721. And what else? The contract address, I already showed you how to do that. The token ID is optional for NFT token types. 721, 155. Specific token IDs can be added if you want to. Then we have minimum and maximum tokens. And let me sure, I think this is a good one to also show you. So coming back to Postman, if you look at the rules that I've specified here, I've got 1 and 2, and both let me change the role ID so I can see if they are all passing. Yes, so this is true and this is false because I do not have this one. Now, even though that this NFT is true for me, the one with the fans, if I change the minimum token requirements to maybe 110, ideally this should be false, right? Because I don't have that much token. I don't have that amount of this asset on my wallet. So that's what the minimum token and maximum token property does for you. Likewise, they are both optional. So if it's not specified, the token amount will default to 1. And then this is something that we currently use on the Collab.Land command center. Is you can token gate or you can create TGRs with NFT attributes, right? In that case, I'm talking about these traits, right? This is one on OpenSea, and you can decide to token gate with any of these traits, right? It's here on the documentations. So you can add specific, metadata information of the token that you want to use and gate. I haven't added that example yet, but maybe that's a good thing to also add because I have seen people ask the questions about, how do you use NFT attributes to do token gating for websites. Like I said, we do use that currently on the Collab.Land command center, but I haven't added that example yet, and maybe I would do that after this call, just to make sure that I have it at a handy place where anyone can find access to them. And role ID is optional, but it can be tricky, right? And this is something that came to light when we were working with the Success Finder team as well. Is if you want to know which of the token of the specified rules is passing and which of them is failing, then you need to make the role ID, like the role ID property will not be optional. Like right now, it's not optional on production. I don't think so. But it's optional in QA, which is currently where I'm making this demo from, because it was a business requirement, for the team to make sure that if you specify more than one TGR, then they want to know which of those rules is passing and which of them is failing. And it kind of like speaks to that thing that I did before. Let me do that again. If the rule ID is the same or is not specified at all, then it would just pass and give you one response. In this case, like that. So it would just give you one response and you wouldn't know which, okay, this is 110, it should be passing. Let me do one. Yeah, so it would just pass and you wouldn't know if it's passing based on this asset or based on this asset or based on, the other, however many you specify. So role ID is currently documented as optional, but we are considering making it required based on that particular functionality, because to some people it would be required as a business use case for them to know which of your assets is getting granted. And that's it. Okay, I think I'm just going to stop talking now. Please, thank you for hearing me out talk about website token gating. Thank you for joining in. I would be happy to answer any questions if anyone has in the chat. Let me take a look.
Oh, thank you so much, Kenny. I don't see any questions as of the moment, but I think that this would be a good time to distribute the POAP. What do you think?
Let me just finish quickly taking a scan. Okay. I'm looking in the dev general channel to see if I've got any questions there. So I don't think there's any. So I think we could definitely go ahead and distribute the POAPs.
Awesome. All right, let's get to that. Just 1 second. All right, we are good to go. So, to everyone listening, if you would like to claim today's POAP, I mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it again just in case that you join later on in the call. We will be using the POAP mini app for this POAP distribution. And in order to claim it, all you have to do is to use the slash command. You can write it in any of the chats of the server. If you're in the state chat, you can do it there. And all you have to do is to write slash POAP claim. You should see a drop down. If you write slash POAP, you can select POAP claim. And then for the claim phrase, you're going to write token access. Those two words together, there's no spaces in between, and it's all lowercase. Token access, that's the claim phrase to claim this POAP. And as soon as you write that down, you can hit enter, and then you will receive a code to claim your POAP. Please let us know if it worked. Again, the phrase to claim the POAP is token access. Those two words together, all lowercase and with no spaces in between.
So we click on the link that is returned.
Again, slash command, POAP claim, and then token access as the claim phrase. Were you able
Thank
to
you,
claim it?
TB. Mine is
Yeah.
Minton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, and this one's really cute. I think this is my favorite so far.
I love the colors. I think they go so well together.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm seeing some errors here in the chat. It's all one word with no spaces in between. Token access.
Yeah, I think I remembered asking you to be last time that we're here why people like you can't type the claim phrase in the chat. I think you said maybe POAP said that shouldn't be done. Like, can you kind
Yeah,
of like talk about that a little bit?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we give this reminder um in all of our events, but yeah, thank you for mentioning it, Kenny. Yeah, it's to please not write the secret word anywhere in the chats because that's against POAP policies. So we don't want to do that. But if you weren't able to hear it, you can let us know and we can repeat it here in the voice channel. We just can't write it down. But yeah, please let us know. And just in case, again, the secret word would be token access. Just in case, it's all lowercase with no spaces or anything. Just
Oh,
token access.
thank you for telling me about the POAP Mac OS app. That's what I use now. So when I click on the link, it just like I don't even go to the browser anymore. It just that's minting because I've got the Mac app. Yeah, I didn't know they had a Mac app until you told me about that.
Yeah, I do the same thing. And it's just so easy and quick. There's no, yeah, the game, the verification game with the all of the
Yeah.
numbers that you need to click on, and it just takes so long. So
Oh,
this
it
is,
makes me so happy.
I
The
know, me
first time I
too.
did that, I had to solve like a puzzle. Oh my god, it was endless.
I
Uh,
failed.
doing all the maths. Yeah.
No, I failed. I tried 2 times. I remember it was a Twitter Spaces. It was my first Twitter Spaces with the team. And I was not able to talk and do it at the same time. So I failed the first 2 times and I had to ask a friend to please do it for me. not super proud about that. But yeah, it
Yeah,
can get difficult. I agree.
yeah. I think the first DevRel office hours, I was trying so hard to claim mine while I was still on the call,
Mhm.
so that I can tell everyone that I've claimed mine. And yeah, I was unsuccessful for the first time. It wasn't easy.
It happens. I totally understand.
Awesome. I've got my pro app now.
Oh, that's
Let me
awesome.
just quickly say thank you again to everyone who joined today. I hope that you go and build a website token get a website and then try to token gate it with one of your assets, or an NFT, a non-fungible token, or a fungible token. Whatever you build, please share with me in the Dev General channel. I want to see what you're working on. I want to support you. Bounce ideas off of me as well if you want to do that. The whole point is I want to see what kind of creative juice can get flowing just by having this information that I've just shared. Um, Even if it's an idea that you're still considering whether it to be worth it, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. So thank you everyone that showed up today. I hope to see you again in 2 weeks.
Oh, thank you, Kenny, so much. This has been an awesome session. And yeah, thanks everyone in the audience for joining. Again, we will have the DevRel office hours again in 2 weeks. We'll let everyone know, of course. And yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kenny, and everyone for attending. I think that we're good to wrap things up. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.